welcome to the University of Redlands, especially to the MBA class. It's an organizational behavior class, management and organizational behavior. And we have with us today 33 people on this call. So they're eager to listen to you. We're going to talk about visionary leadership. I told them I kind of boasted a little about who you are and the father of visionary leadership, and you were called the Da Vinci of visionary leadership. I mean, these titles didn't just come to you because you are handsome and the best you are. There's a reason. Tell us why. Why are you called the Da Vinci of visionary leadership?
You know, when Marshall Goldsmith named me this way, I understood one thing: a responsibility. You're not getting those titles for fun, because you're not walking down the street and saying, hey, I'm Da Vinci. No, come on. You're prepared to accept a lot of responsibility as you're exploring something which has never been done before or something like that. If we talk about leadership, leadership is an art of revealing people greatness. And this is about leading people into a clear future where they all want to be. Leadership is not about leading people into today or into the past. And in fact, the majority of modern leaders leading people into their past mistakes. I think from a simple standpoint. We are very keen on consensus these days. We're all looking for consensus. We don't need a consensus if we know where we go. We're looking for consensus. We're trying to please people when we don't know where we lead people. Imagine a captain. I spend a time at sea myself all days. I can't imagine a captain who would be asking every crew where we would go fishing. Oh, should we go back home? No. Should we go to a certain destination? No. It's about leading people. It's about clearly showing how the future would look like, where they're going to be, what they will gain, what the benefits for them, and building people for that projected future.
That takes us into vision. When we talk about the future, really we're talking about vision. What is a vision?
Vision is our aspiration for a future that we strive to make a reality today. In fact, this is a reality that we're already creating today and now. Vision, it's your promise to people. So you're committing yourself. You prepared, not just commit, you prepared to sacrifice part of yourself. And so ego is a huge, huge killer. And ego leads to a comfort zone. Because when you're really egocentric, you're thinking, oh, life should be comfortable. Nothing great happens in a comfort zone, except, you're gradually dying. Your brain is not working. Your body is relaxed. You don't do much. So you should think of those things first before you think about something else. Vision is a creation. We're exploring a new reality. We're exploring a new dimension of that life, whether in private life or in business.
Take me into a vision is created by one, and the minute he creates it, it belongs to others.
Yes. Without it, you see, first of all, vision comes when your conscious awareness of a problem you want to solve for the benefit of others reaches its peak. So it's not about me, it's about what I do for people. And in this sense, if I create a vision and if I wouldn't share it, it will be dying within me. But I must make others the multipliers of my vision. I must make others the co-owners of my vision. Co-owners means people should clearly understand their involvement, and people should clearly understand what benefit they will gain when the vision will be achieved.
So
you
cannot be a narcissist and a visionary. They just don't click together. They won't work together, because you must be able to share your vision of the future with others. We'd be willing to.
Absolutely. As far as I know, you had a conversation with Gary Rich. Yes. I love Gary. Physically, I had a conversation with him on WhatsApp yesterday. And Gary is one of those brilliant models of leadership. He takes care of people in a great sense.
Servant leadership.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You know, you serve people. Hey, I created vision. This is a little planet with clear functions, with clear dimensions. And then this says, I invite people to live in it, to build it in a great way. Can I do it on my own? No chance. I need to get people where they feel cared, important. They are important part of it, and they're proud part of it.
Take us, let our student, our purposeful leaders of the future, know what is a visionary leadership.
The nature of vision never been revealed in the history of humanity. Before we talked about vision as some kind of a meaningless word, more or less at the same extent as, would you like a coffee? Yes. Would you like to have a vision? Yeah. You know, some kind of that. But vision is, we see in this life, we have two main assets. Life itself, but we brought into this life, which is fairly meaningless and empty, and our obligation to make it meaningful and purposeful. To make it meaningful, we must have vision. The same happens in business. If we're about to establish a startup, or we're running a business, already existing business, we must have it meaningful, and therefore we need a vision. And here comes a problem. I was shocked when I analyzed my data, and I found that less than 0.1% of modern leaders have vision. We talk about leadership blindness. People don't know where they lead others. I wish my parents or grandparents, whatever, been able at my younger age, been able to share with me how to live a meaningful life. The higher you grow in your caliber as a leader, the more you would realize that you need a vision. You can't run people because of you're good at meetings. No. You can't be a great leader because you're good at giving orders. No. It's about being a visionary is more important than everything else. You see, you wouldn't be as a leader, you wouldn't, or as a father or as a mother of a house, you wouldn't be remembered much for daily tasks. You would be remembered by how you revealed people in their greatest way.
And Vision Code, you made it possible for people to understand what it is. And thank you for sharing the book with me. And I was one of the endorser of the book. So I'm honored to have been included there.
Thank you.
I've been honored to be in there, but to be actually crack the code, which you mentioned that all these years, really people talk about vision, but you were able philosophically to put it into play where any person can read this book. And we're not here within a student environment learning about, we're not endorsing a book, we're endorsing the concept of how you actually were able to crack the vision code and make people and future leaders be aware of what the vision is and how they can become visionary leaders. So thank you for that.
Actually, interesting point. Yes, it's about endorsing a concept, not the words. I remember your note when you said to me, look, you better change inside you to within you. I remember and I'm grateful for this. Thank you very much. Because yes, you tend to make some mistakes. It's a big volume, but it's about concept. People could grasp it immediately. But you see, we hardly talk about very interesting points. All of us, regardless of the age, are living artifacts for the next generation. Professor, we are living artifacts for these guys. These guys are not realizing yet that they are already living artifacts for the next generation. And your vision is your greatest proof that you lived a meaningful life and you run meaningful business. And that is quite important because you can't talk it on words, and therefore it was my main aim was to turn vision into a practical business tool which people could take and go tomorrow and apply. And it was also quite important to reveal how visionaries think and act, because it's a very different mindset.
It's a mindset, isn't it?
It is a mindset. You must be really good at being focused. You must be really good at not looking for how I would solve problems. You would be very good at looking for solutions. Your mind should be pure and clean out of rubbish. You must be really focused on how you could deliver something for people instead of looking for everything around you.
So remove the I from your mindset. I is important, but it's not the most important. See what others' needs are and then meet them.
It's very interesting, you see, because one of the traits of visionary leaders, they consider themselves as parts of an open system. All of us are living in a closed system because we are surrounded by walls, mirrors, liars, and we consider we are big, but within that box. No. If you think of yourself being small, but in a huge open space, you could see that space. You could see the whole universe. You could see the whole planet and say, okay, I'm establishing a business which is important for people not only in the USA, but it could be important for people in Malaysia, or I'm establishing business in Australia and it would be important for people, or what I do for people across the entire community or entire globe. You are feeling yourself, even being little, but you are important. And in this sense, I is only a starting point. You see, there are 5 important elements of how to grow as a visionary leader. And the first one, as I mentioned, is courage. The second one is about learning. It's not much about the books you read. It's more about what do you learn from people that you meet. You meet daily new people. What do you learn from them? What do you hear from them? It's about inner excellence. No one is perfect, and of course we are trying to get better and better and better. Of course I have an excuse with my wife when she's not happy with me. I'm saying, okay, I'm not ideal, I'm not perfect, but I'm cool. So how cool you are becoming every time is matters, because you must be stronger to lead your people with better result, with better outcome, with more energy. It's about confidence and credibility. What I have found that confidence is being sure that I will deliver my promises to myself and promises to others. If I know that I will do this, that's fine, I'm confident with that. And this leads to credibility, because without credibility, vision doesn't have that magnitude, because people will trust me as a leader because I deliver my promises. Think of the politicians. They're in very good position. They promise nothing. They always promise we would live better, but who would measure that better? Well, that little piece is always missing. Their promises are empty. But when you're really confident, I promise people something, I will deliver it, and people trust me. And of course, it's about knowledge bank, because vision, as we discussed already, it's not about me, but it's about everyone being involved. And you need to create a knowledge bank where everyone contribute to it. You are MBA students, and I've been through this. At the time I was an MBA program myself. I was Eastern Europe sales director in the UK in a large company. And I know this from my experience, that most times we are in a rush to employ a new staff to cover a certain gap in knowledge, instead of thinking how everyone in existing team contribute to that knowledge bank, what the people bring on the table. Do I listen to them? In most cases appear that we have already that knowledge exists within a company. We're employing somebody for no purpose for no reason. We don't know actually what we're after. And that is quite interesting. So you must employ everyone.
You mentioned a word, purpose, and I'm glad you ended on this. It's not like we planned it in any way, because here our intention is to produce purposeful leaders. And what you're looking at, these are the team going to be purposeful leader one day, going to change society in any possible positive way. What's your message to them?
Let's distinguish first what's a purpose, what's a vision, what's a mission, what's a goal.
Sure.
Because it's all often, people
Intertwined.
losing. Yeah. I will put it in a simple way. My purpose is to explore. I'm an explorer. I'm exploring new terrains, new areas in leadership. That's my purpose. My vision is I want to create 1 million visionaries across the globe. And that's about how I could arm them with a clear tools, leadership tools that they would make a huge impact on this world. Mission is a positive impact on society along that journey. So I will help people to be better. That's it. So mission statement is what I call a side effect. And when we talk about goals, I need to achieve that goals, my vision, I need to have like a stepstones, because goals, it's a certain points or flag posts on the way to achieve my vision. Put it in a simple way. For instance, all of us, we tend to refer to Martin Luther King. His purpose was to free people. His vision was such an extent to make society equal and things like that. And here comes a trespass moment. You could leave your vision as a legacy, but you can't leave your goals and your purpose as a legacy.
Even mission, for that matter.
Mission is just something on a wall to please people. And that's a problem because mainly companies are focused on mission statements, but hey, give $100 or $200 to some kind of a nice guy, a wordsmith. He will draft you that. Who would be inspired by this? I never saw anyone inspired by a mission statement.
So being a visionary will create legacy. With your vision, legacy is created. I like what we learned this evening. Now let's go to the fun part. Thank you so much for this presentation. Now the fun part where we open the floor to our beautiful, purposeful leaders. They ask you questions. We're mindful of your time, so we're going to respect that as well.
All time is yours.
You're going to stay all night with us? All right.
It's whole evening for me.
Whole morning with you, I know. So who's going to start? Who's going to start with the first question to our Dr. Oleg? And again, welcome to the University of Redlands.
Thank you.
Who's going to take the first question?
Seems Jonathan.
John, where are you?
Oh, right here.
Okay, go.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you taking my question. So this is a very important question for me. I am not in a leadership position currently, and I don't feel that I have the authority to be casting vision for my organization. So my question for you would be, how can I be a better servant to those who are casting visions for me right now? And how can I help advance other people's visions forward?
Thank you, Jonathan. First of all, it's not about you being purposefully visionary, creating, exceptional visions for others. But if you help others to become a visionary, even more important. And vision begins with your life. Are you married? How do you see your family? How do you see what you do? Because if you're a visionary, you could envision your family first, your own life first, and then you cast on everything you do. It's not about your position. Don't forget that we are now on Zoom which was created by engineers within Cisco, and they were not considering themselves as being great leaders. They were great innovators who became in charge of the project. You see, vision is a decision. It's not a choice. The difference between decision and a choice is very simple. Decision assumes a responsibility and commitment. When you decided to get, okay, I want to get married to this woman, right? You're taking responsibility and you're prepared to commit yourself for entire life to this person. Choice doesn't assume that commitment, doesn't assume responsibility. It's more or less, it works as an excuse. We have done poorly because we had poor choices. When you're not at that level of leadership, you're still about to make decisions. Decisions for yourself, decisions for others. You decide, okay, I wouldn't be the greatest visionary, but I will help others to become visionaries. Would it be important? Of course. So it's nothing wrong. What happens? We are all visionaries. Regardless, we were all said that vision is a gift. No. Vision is a focused thinking about the future. And believe me or not, we all have visionary traits in one way or another. There are 15 traits, and those traits like, for instance, thinking about solutions instead of thinking about problems. Can you do this in your duty? Of course you are. It's a matter just to refocus yourself. They're simple in terms of how they live. Believe me, I know a lot of visionaries across the globe. I'm in one room with them. And they're all brilliant. They're very simple in themselves. They're simple in their talks. Do you need something special for this? No, it's about, developing those traits. They are not afraid of change. They are storms themselves, and do I need to be in a top position to be a driver of that change? No. So we'll have different traits. Somebody got this trait, somebody got those traits. That's fine. It's a matter how would you create yourself.
Nicely said. Thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you.
And especially you interviewed too many of the visionaries for all the research you've done. And I was telling them in leaderology, you have really created the Manifesto of Leadership. So this is by itself, research by itself is worth reading. And then in the visionary code, you have really cracked the code of vision. So thank you for sharing that. And let's go ahead. Alex, let's go with you.
Thank you, Professor. And Dr. Oleg, really appreciate your time tonight. This has been a very eye-opening session. I want to talk about your recent blog on the leadership oath. A few parts of that really stood out to me, especially when you talk about the oath of leadership and that effective leaders will show their scars, but not their wounds, so that their team feels protected. Given that emotional intelligence is becoming increasingly paramount to the role of a leader, can you expand on what is the proper vulnerability leader should show? What does it mean that the scars versus the wounds, and when is it oversharing with your team how a situation's impacting you?
Thank you, Alex. And thank you for reading my blog. Thank you. It was actually published in CEO World magazine. And initially I was thinking, hold on. When we take leadership roles, it seems to me people are not feeling obliged towards others. When you go into military, you're saying, hey, I promise, I swear, whatever. Wounds. Too many leaders these days, they cut a finger and they're running around, and saying, yeah, cut a finger. And they're not thinking about, yes, I might take some kind of a pressure on myself because of the people around me. In terms of emotional intelligence, that means I only show myself I'm not connected to people and to their needs, because that means I could see only my pain, but I don't see what people take on them. What's their wounds? So I'm not caring, in fact, about them.
Let's explore that. Let's explore that thought a little bit. So if you're self-aware, is that selfish?
No, I must be self-aware. I must be self-aware. I must be really confident in this set, because if I don't know myself, I wouldn't know where to go from that point.
Good.
I will give you a simple example, and I'm working on this project further now. The majority of leaders can't define what the present is. If I would ask you, what is the present as a definition in your terms? And majority of people are struggling with this question. So I'm talking about understanding the present as a space from where we lead others into the future. Because if I don't know from where I lead others, it's your GPS would set actually on fault. And the same with a personality. If I'm not self-aware, I don't know from what point I'm growing. I could assume that I'm a great personality. My wife would be saying, no, you're just hardly tolerable. You know, I must be really clear, who am I?
I like it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Alex, for your question as well. Let's go with Megan M.
Hi, thank you for giving me the chance to ask a question. So I noted that you stated negativity and language of the past gets in the way as a leader. So as a leader in our organization, especially trying to be a visionary leader, how much should we incorporate the past in trying to make those future decisions? How much is it okay for that talk of the past to be present?
When I coach people, I always tell them the difference between me and psychologists is simple. Psychologists is digging into the past. I'm leading people into the future, or helping them to create a future. If we have a question, that means we don't have an answer for it from the past. What's the point to drag that past into the future? But you could use lessons from the past. You could use your experience as something, but think again. My experience of doing something 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 5 years ago was only relevant for those days. I could repeat the same thing and I would be successful now with it, because of time change, environment change. You know, I love salmon fishing. It doesn't mean the salmon is in every piece of a river. You're just waiting for it, or you're looking for it, and I'm casting. So I might do 100 casts before I'll get into a fish. Might do 5 casts, might be 1. Should I say that 100 previous casts were not good? They were excellent. Just fish was not there. It's about thinking how you could build on that past, but for a future. If you're thinking too much about the past, that means you don't have much time to think about the future. But the answers are in the future. You're leading people into the future.
Nicely said. As always. Crystal, your turn.
Yeah, hi. I saw that in addition to a lot of your writing, you'd work with companies doing consultancy work on their corporate culture. When it comes to the companies that you've had to work with to really change their culture or address issues with them, have you found a common theme that runs along those, and how much of that is influenced by their leadership?
100%. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you.
Thank you.
100% is impacted by leadership because culture reflects leadership. And if something went wrong, that means some kind of a problem in leadership exists. Because it's not vice versa. Leadership is not a result of culture. Culture is a result of leadership. Because leaders initially defines what culture is going to be, what is what we could tolerate, what wouldn't be tolerable. People in good sense, people don't know how to work together. We need leaders to show people how to live in this newly created house. What I always say, if you are setting up a startup, you must have a vision for your startup itself, but you must envision culture, because culture is a productive interaction wrapped into a vision. In both senses, leaders are establishing the norms of that interaction through values, and they share their vision because leaders should have a vision for a first and then they share it. And that would define a nature of culture, because culture is an energy of inner energy of organization that consists of talents, efforts, competences, commitments of all directed into achievement of one corporate goal, regardless of the size of organization. So it's all falls on leadership. Leaders setting the pillars of that house and people laying the bricks of it.
They set the standard, don't they? They set the standard and they set the tone. So Scott, make yourself ready. Idris, make yourself ready. Haley, and we're going to go with Keith. Keith, what is your question?
Thank you for taking my question. I would love to hear your thoughts or comments on a leadership strategy that was introduced to me about 2 years ago. So the president of our company was brand new at the time, and his philosophy was to create just enough stress and just enough chaos into the organization to achieve optimal employee performance. And this is on the philosophy, if you let the employees just run wild with no leadership, you know, you'll have fallout in optimal performance. On the extreme side, if you have too much micromanaging, too much chaos, it would also decline productivity. So I'd love to hear your comments on that philosophy.
Yes, thank you very much. Would you be married to a woman that makes a bit of a conflict every day?
I was, yes.
You was, so you divorced. How did you feel? That's the same.
It was
because it's horrible. You feel I wouldn't be using French language, you know, but if you would feel horrible, you will actually start, because of that consistent stress, you will start questioning your self-respect. And in this sense, that CEO or whatever it is, leader of your company, is not a leader, he is a manipulator. He doesn't have anything greater than him or the company to show people, to lead them, to be inspired. Instead of he's trying to manipulate them into the bottom lines. You see, yes, it's one of the problems that, in fact, if we talk about human behavior, organizational behavior, people are not very good at pushing each other up, but they're very good at dragging others down to their bottom lines. And it seems to me this leader is very good at this.
That's what we call the crab mentality. I should introduce you to this
Absolutely.
concept. This is the crab mentality. When you're boiling the crabs, they start pulling each other. Somebody wants to save. The crab mentality is when you pull others down. You don't want them successful. Thank you so much, Dr. Oleg.
It's difficult.
It's very difficult. Let's go with another question on this so we can. I am still very mindful of your time. I know you said you're going to stay the whole night with us, which we would love to have you, but very mindful. Scott, Idris, Stalin, Jonathan, Terence, Haley, who's ready? And if I don't call on you and you're ready, please let me know if you have a question. Let's go with Idris.
Thank you for your time, Professor. My question is pretty straightforward. In your identification of certain leadership styles, moving forward, do you see any leadership styles that you considered maybe outdated or not applicable to our times moving forward?
Good question.
Thank you, Idris. I would say we have started, humanity have started researching leadership about 160 years ago only. We don't know much about it. And, we talk about transformational leadership. We talked before about transactional leadership. We talk about different forms. Unless you prepare to serve people, there are no other forms. Because you could, if in military terms, you are prepared to protect your people, but you still prepared, okay, I would lose part of my soldiers because it's a real battle, okay. But you are not sending people just for a death. Because you cover your ass with, a great statement, oh, I'm saving a nation. Look, if you would kill all your soldiers, there would be no nation. So it's about serving people and caring for them. Because if I don't care for my people, no one will.
Nicely said. Very nicely said. Stalin?
Yes, Привет, Dr. Ulrich.
Hi.
Now, mind you, his name is Stalin with no pun intended.
No pun intended. It's actually my first name. I actually have a teacher from some friends from Moscow that has Stalin's face and Terminator's body. Mm-hmm. And at the bottom, it reads, I'll be back. I don't know if you've seen it out there, but yeah, I have it somewhere in my closet. It's a pleasure and I'm thankful to be able to ask you this question, Doctor. Earlier, you were speaking about my purposes and yours is to explore, and my vision is to create 1 million visionaries in this world out there. They seem to be, purpose and vision seem to be linked, tied together.
Yes.
What's from your perspective, the main link or differences, therefore?
Purpose is narrow, forward-looking direction. Vision is a multidimensional space with clear functions, right? For instance, I'm blessed. I have a huge privilege to work with amazing people from across the globe coming, and that's brilliant. Your professor is one of these guys. And actually what happens when you create that vision, you must clearly understand what are the functions of that space. For instance, Ian was thinking about turning Britain green again. It's not about eradicating waste, but it's about creating, okay, that would allow us this and this and this and this, at least clear functions, where purpose is just a clear line of what you do around this.
Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. Fantastic. Appreciate that.
You see, you could always ask yourself, if it's a vision, yes, what are the functions and could I leave it or pass it to others? You can't pass your purpose. right? Because it's your purpose.
It's unique.
Yes.
So
Fantastic.
you can't
but
pass
vision-
the purpose. You can pass the purpose, but you can pass the vision. Actually,
Yes.
the vision leaves you. It doesn't stay with you.
Yep. You just pass it, and it could be picked up by the next generation or by your colleagues, or even if we talk from the point of view of investors, when we talk about startups, for instance, or some kind of a project, you're saying, hey, that vision is expandable. We could transfer it. We could do it because people could pick it up and go. But your purpose will remain with you. Thank you.
Very nice. Catherine, prepare your question. Let's go with Mary Jane Andreas. And please let me know if you're ready with your questions, whether male or female. I'm interested in both. Catherine,
Oh,
make yourself
vision
ready. And
Vision
Joseph,
does
make
not
yourself
have
ready.
agenda. Guys,
No,
vision
exactly.
does not have agenda.
Exactly. I mean, everyone, because I have two screens. So forgive me, I have to be jumping from one screen to another and see which one I haven't included. Also, Danny, make yourself ready. Nadia, make yourself ready. Whoever has a question, Terrence, Joseph, whoever has a question, let me know so we can ask the question. Jacob, Michael, Mitch, everybody. So we're going to go with Mary Jane.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My question is, as a student doing an MBA program, what advice do you wish that someone had told you while you were going through your program?
You see, most of MBA programs, because I'm teaching at different MBA programs myself, they are not training you to ask questions beyond yourself. All those programs are good at standard questions. It's not as funny as you think, because if it's about questioning beyond convenience. The majority of questions you will hear around your room are meaningless. I have a simple approach. If I'm asking a question, I must know what I will do with the answer. When you go for such program as MBA program, you are prepared to go beyond yourself. But you can't go beyond yourself if you don't know how to ask about this. This is what you should grasp and learn. No one will teach you about this. Maybe somebody, if you're lucky enough. But this is, you need to find out yourself. I'm not talking about with whom you would network, what kind of a competence you will gain. It will come in one way or another. But you would grow tremendously if you would learn how to ask questions in a different way. That would make you better. That would allow you to explore many great areas about yourself, about business, about organizations, about everything.
Excellent response. And I hope in this class, in classes like this, and having you around, this is one way of having her ask the right questions. And eventually, when she becomes the leader that we wish her to become, answer the right answer as well. All right, Joseph, let's go with you.
So I just wanted to thank you again for taking the time to talk with us. But as we're kind of coming out of this quarantine period where everyone was stuck working from home, and in some instances, some companies are never actually even returning to an office, I just wondered if you had any sort of recommendations or kind of thoughts on how you can continue to develop that interpersonal communication that managers need to effectively manage employees who are reporting to them. Because some of the things that I've noticed is just, it's a lot easier for somebody to kind of fake being happy if you're seeing them for 30 minutes over a screen than it is when you're seeing them for, a full day in an office. So I was just curious if you had any thoughts on that.
Joseph, thank you. And the first question is, if you work from home, what is more important for you, to be on a screen or understanding the role, what you do for others?
Probably understanding the role for me.
You see, it's when I understand my role, I know where I could contribute people in. It's not about time, it's about energy that I would be added to that conversation or into that process. And I will feel valuable. I will feel being a part of that organization. But if it's about I must spend half an hour or an hour on Zoom conference, it's about like punishment. I must do this. I must attend this silly meeting. Role. That's again, it's leader's duty to get people into the roles, not into the job descriptions. This is about how we hug each other in that in the process of creation of what we create together.
Excellent. Scott, are you ready?
Hello, sir. This is Scott. I had a question
Scott.
more of a, in my opinion, more of potentially a personal critique of someone who I believed was a visionary leader, keeping in mind that a mentor of mine, I would have always seen her as a visionary leader, and she had the ability to see changes in the environment from long range.
Mm-hmm.
And based off of a skill that she could spot market trends, shifts, et cetera. But it seems as if those below her, myself included, now think that it's more of instead of adapting to market changes, et cetera, she just changes direction constantly. And I would love to provide feedback, not just my own, but based off of the perception of others. And how do you make that known to someone who is in charge of an organization and has the ability to shift basically morale of all the individuals working underneath her, if that makes sense?
Scott, yes, it does make sense. Thank you, because the majority, most of people are really afraid of change. Some people are escaping change, some people trying to go around it, and it seems to me you talk about someone who is not leading a change. You know, because being a visionary, you are leading that change. You define that change and sticking, you're benefiting from that change, and people under you will be benefiting as well because you go over it, right? So more or less, you are not facing a storm, but you're in the center of that storm that goes where you want to go. It seems to me you talk about someone who just trying to predict that force coming and avoiding it all the time, but you can't escape the change. In one way or another, it will hit you and you will be dead.
What can he do to make sure that he can manage? Because one part of this course is to manage your leader or lead your leaders. How can he do? Let's assume Scott is still working with the same lady, same leader that is really not visionary at all. No. What can he do to manage her or lead her?
If he must create something clear, he must. It's about me envisioning what we should do. You see, we are living at the times where the pace of change is the highest humanity ever faced. And therefore, I can't run away from change or need for change, but I could stick with a change which is most important. Okay, if this lady is great at predicting certain trends, okay, great. Let's use this as an opportunity to explore, okay, that area would change. That means we could predict something and we could create a new space with that trend or change. But again, it would be more or less of a longer term escape. It's somebody who is good at how to tell you, why this person is not trading on a stock exchange if she is good and such things. That means it's more or less it's just saying, yeah, just being a grumpy woman and saying, yeah, come on, I knew it would be wrong. You see, if she is good at saying those things, how good she is at making those things beneficial for others. Is it about her ego saying I'm clever, or is it about I'm serving others by knowing where to go?
Thank you so much. Andrea, we're going to go with you. I know we passed the hour, and I know how generous you are, but we're still mindful of your time and respectful of your time and also the students' time. So, Andrea, it's your turn to ask the question. Catherine, if you have a question, let me know. Let's go with Andrea first. Okay.
Okay, so since we're talking about managing leaders, my leader is, I guess you could say, a little bit tough. I'll just say she's tough at times. And, you know, a lot of us tend to walk on eggshells a little bit. Is there a way to deal with that type of leader?
Run away. Why I should commit myself to something that would crush my life?
Yeah.
How many lives do you have? 9, like a cat?
True.
Now, Andrea is a toughie, but let's assume she can't run away. What can she do?
Create something better than your leader can. Because in fact, it will come to shareholders or stakeholders that would value your offer better.
Yeah.
But don't forget, before you judge those people, don't forget, they've never been taught to be a leader. Probably.
Probably true. Yeah.
Okay. Terrence, Catherine, Taylor, who's going to go? Brent, if you're ready. Whoever want to ask a question, this is an opportunity to ask the father of visionary leadership. Okay. So, Taylor, are you ready? Terrence?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Oleg. Thank you.
Hi, Taylor.
My question for you, I think you have some unique experience working in different countries and with different people around the world. I'm curious, how much have you seen the culture of people's culture, their country? How much does that play into their leadership and being a visionary leader?
A lot. I came from, I'm Russian by origin. Yes, I lived almost half of my life in the UK. Russia is tough on this. For instance, mentally, Russians are not good at strategy, and so they're not good at vision. Even if you try to translate certain things into Russian from English, like vision, leadership, it sounds quite dodgy in Russian language, right? So, but Russians are good at planning, very good at it. Vision is about go beyond yourself. What I always say, Russians are very good at holding a line. Don't go into fight with Russians. They wouldn't lose, believe me. They will fight you to death. But what Russians are not good, to go beyond that line demands exceptional additional effort, right? And they're very good at holding that line, but they're not good at crossing that line. Even the culture itself are not very welcoming such a behavior. Where in the US, you are all, for instance, are motivated to cross that line and go beyond it, and this is welcomed and things like that. I came this Saturday night, I came back from Dubai, and I just realized, okay, in a frame of 50 years, these guys created an incredible city, just like on a sand. Enormous, right? How it affects their demand for innovation, creativity, craving for something good. It's different. So every culture is different, yet it's all about how you are prepared to cross that line beyond ordinary. Every country has own perception of ordinary and own perception of how you could cross it. One thing to Taylor, I got experience when people saying to me, yeah, but by our culture, we're not supposed to do this and this and this. When people are not prepared for change, they're hiding their weaknesses behind cultural differences. We are not supposed to behave in this way. Come on, you want to be one of the best in the world? Don't hide behind those local differences.
What happens when we suspend our judgment within a cultural setting?
You will see people exceptionally beautiful.
That's your answer, Taylor. That's your answer. Thank you so much. That's mindset and suspend your judgment. See people as they are, as what they contribute. Dr. Oleg, congratulations on your trip, on your success. Also, congratulations on the new program that you have. So we're honored to have you. Thank you for your generosity. You're staying beyond the time. We are grateful. We are grateful to you. Thank you and welcome to the University of Redlands. I can't say that. You're a bulldog now. Welcome to the University of Redlands.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time.
Greatly honored. Thank you. Thank you.
Have a pleasant one and we'll talk. I'll talk to you again later.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much. God bless you.